Ukiniksuqua. My name is Inge Gene Kini Taniko Pitaki. Welcome to my online Blackfoot grammar course. In this video, we take a look at speech sounds and phonetic transcription. Before we can begin to talk about the sounds of Blackfoot and compare them with the sounds of English, we need to understand a few general things about how speech sounds are made. If you already know this basic stuff and just want to learn about Blackfoot sounds specifically, you can skip this video and go to video 4 for Blackfoot consonants and 5 for Blackfoot vowels. And if you only want to know how to write Blackfoot sounds, you can skip straight to video 7 for how to write Blackfoot consonants and 8 for how to write Blackfoot vowels. Speech sounds in spoken languages are made by modifying the flow of air coming out of your lungs. When we are not speaking, air flows in and out of our lungs as we are breathing. This generally doesn't make any noise unless you have a cold or are out of breath. We definitely can make noise, but not all noises are speech sounds. For instance, coughing, sneezing, snoring, crying, and laughing are not speech sounds. Speech sounds are made by deliberately modifying the airflow in 4 general locations: in the larynx, in the throat or pharynx, and in the mouth or oral cavity, and in the nose or nasal cavity. The images in this video are taken from the website linked on this slide. You can go there directly to learn a lot more about how your articulators move around when speaking. The larynx is also called the voice box. It's located in your neck where you can feel your Adam's apple. Adult men usually have quite visible Adam's apples, but women and young people have them too, although they're usually not as prominent. Air flows out of your lungs through your trachea or windpipe on its way out of your mouth or nose. At the top of the windpipe, it flows through the larynx or voice box. In the larynx is a set of muscles called vocal folds or vocal cords, symbolized with a line in this image. The opening between the vocal cords is also called the glottis. When the vocal cords are open and relaxed, the air flows past them without making any sound. But when they are pulled tight, the air that flows past them makes them vibrate. This makes a sound that we call voicing. You can check this for yourself. Put 2 fingers against your Adam's apple and say a long ah sound. And you will feel a vibration against your fingers. So this ah is a voiced sound. Now say a long S sound. S, still with your fingers against your throat. You should feel and hear a hissing noise in your mouth, but you don't feel anything against your fingers. Now say a long Z sound. Zzz. Can you notice that this is exactly the same as the S, but now with vibration of your vocal folds? We say that S is a voiceless sound and Z is voiced. In stylized images that we use to represent articulations, we draw open vocal cords for voiceless sounds with a straight line, and we draw vibrating vocal cords for voiced sounds with a squiggly line. Once the air flows through the vocal cords in your larynx, it enters your pharynx or throat, and then it flows out of your body through your mouth or nose. When the air flows out of your mouth, we call that sound oral because the air goes through your oral cavity. A good example is that sound ah that we just talked about. But when the air flows out of your nose, we call that sound nasal because the air goes through your nasal cavity. Some languages also have sounds where the air flows through both the mouth and the nose. At the very back of the roof of your mouth is an area called the velum. When the velum is lowered, it creates an opening to the nasal cavity so that air can flow out of your nose. The air that flows out of the nose makes a vibrating sound in the nasal cavity. You can often feel that by putting the fingers of both hands against the bridge of your nose. For those of you who wear glasses, put your fingers where your glasses rest on your nose. Now close your lips so that no air can flow out of your mouth, and say a long M sound, with your fingers on the bridge of your nose, and you should feel a vibration in your nose. We can create a variety of sounds by doing different things in different places with our lips, teeth, and tongue. Let's see what we can do, starting from the front of the mouth. Your mouth is closed by your lips. Sounds that are made with the lips are called labial. A good example is P. Behind your lips are your teeth. Sounds that involve the teeth are called dental. A good example is the English th sound in words like thin. If you make this carefully, you will feel that you place your tongue against your upper teeth, or even that you stick your tongue out between your teeth. Immediately behind your upper teeth is a small hard ridge. Try to feel this by putting your tongue against the back of your upper teeth and then slide your tongue back a little until you no longer touch your teeth. And what you feel then is the alveolar ridge. This is where we make sounds such as the English T sound. These sounds are called alveolar. So if you say t, 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 t a few times, you will feel that your tongue is touching that alveolar ridge. Now, if you move the tip of your tongue farther back, you will feel a hard, round, hollow area at the roof of your mouth. And that area is called the hard palate. Sounds made there are called palatal. In English or Blackfoot, we don't make sounds by putting our tongue against the hard palate, but we do make a sound by putting our tongue close to it. If you can say a long y sound, you will feel that the central body of your tongue is really close to your palate. Now, if you move your tongue even farther back against the roof of your mouth, at a certain point, you will feel that there is no bone and that there's just soft tissue. This part of the roof of your mouth is called the soft palate or velum, and sounds that are made there are called velar. A good example is the sound K. Make a few sounds k, 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 and you will feel that the back of your tongue closes against the velum. Those are the most important things you need to know to understand how speech sounds are made in English and Blackfoot. There are other languages that do other things, but we don't need to worry about those. If you have ever tried to learn another language, you will be aware that different languages have different sounds. If you learn another language later in life, it is hard to learn some of those sounds, and you may always have a foreign accent. If you have learned other languages, you will also be aware that different languages have different writing systems. Even if they use the same letters, the letters mean different sounds. For instance, if you've ever studied French, you know that the French letter R does not sound like the English R. And a letter like the English I is used for the sound E in French. When we talk about different languages, we want to make sure it is clear what sound we're talking about. Phoneticians have therefore developed a phonetic alphabet in which every symbol always stands for the same sound. This is called the International Phonetic Alphabet, or IPA. You can see on this image that the entire IPA can be summarized on one page. This is because all languages are spoken by people with the same physical apparatus for making sounds, so the number of different sounds we can make is actually quite limited. To look at the sounds of English and Blackfoot, we will use parts of the consonant chart and the vowel chart. Here you can see a more detailed picture of the consonant chart. You can see that the location where the sound is made is listed across the top from left to right. It begins with labial and it ends all the way down in your larynx with glottal sounds. The way in which the sound is made is listed from top to bottom, starting with plosive and ending with approximants. We will learn what that means in the next lesson. Here you can see a more detailed picture of the vowel chart. Vowels are classified in a different way than consonants, mainly by the position of the tongue in your mouth. Your tongue can be relatively high in your mouth, creating a close or narrow opening, or it can be low in your mouth, creating a wide or open opening. Your tongue can also be relatively more front or back in your mouth. As you can see in this chart, lots of vowels can be made in the languages of the world, but English in Blackfoot only use a subset of them. And that's it for today. Shoot me an email if you have any questions. You can find our online dictionary, story archive, resources, and recordings of almost 400 conversational phrases in 3 dialects on the Blackfoot Language Resources website at blackfoot.algonquianlanguages.ca.